Under the dazzling lights of Hollywood's golden age, perfection wasn't just expected, it was manufactured. Silver screen idols, with their flawless hair and magnetic charms, seemed untouchable. But behind the scenes, a quiet truth lingered. Many of these stars battled hair loss. In an era where beauty meant career survival, wigs became the ultimate secret weapon. Crafted by master artisans, these hairpieces transformed thinning hair into lush, iconic styles that audiences adored. From sultry sirens to rugged leading men, the illusion was seamless. Stardom wasn't about what was real, it was about what people believed, and in Hollywood, belief was everything. Frank Sinatra treated image like an instrument, tuned nightly. As his hairline receded in the 1950s, he turned to Max Factor's custom toupees, hand-tied, heat-resistant, and matched to film stock and blinding stage lights. Fitters mapped his scalp, built featherweight bases, and blended edges with spirit gum and fine lace so lenses caught only old blue eyes, never seams. The wardrobe file carried variations: jet black for hard-boiled roles, cool brown for romantic leads, salt and pepper as the chairman matured. Before shows, he rehearsed a ritual: adhesive checks, wind tests, a spare in the wings, then crowned the look with a fedora or trilby to manage angles and mystique. Cinematographers obliged with soft focus and practical shadows. Photographers caught swagger, not scalp. To friends he joked, to audiences he delivered perfection. The hairpiece wasn't vanity, it was armor. Meticulous, invisible, and essential to the brand he conducted as precisely as a band. Always impeccably controlled. Errol Flynn cut across the screen like a gust, rapier flashing, grin flashing wider. Yet the Pirate King wore a quiet disguise. His hairline, already retreating in his 30s, threatened the roguish silhouette audiences adored. Warner Bros. Solved it with action-ready toupees, featherlight bases, hand-tied fronts, and adhesives that held through swordplay, horseback gallops, and fan-blown tempests. Wardrobe tagged them by role: rakish for Robin Hood, seabreeze-proof for the Seahawk, while cameramen favored high angles and forgiving light to keep the illusion seamless. Flynn leaned into the bravado. Hats when the wind howled, a joke in the dressing room, then back to the set where myth outran biology. The hairpieces weren't vanity so much as armor, the final prop completing cape, boots, and swagger. On cue he leapt, parried, kissed, and vanished through a window, the legend intact. Because for a swashbuckler, nothing mattered more than momentum, and the wig let him keep flying. Jean Harlow didn't just invent the platinum blonde, she survived it. In early 30s Hollywood, her hair gleamed like chrome under arc lights, a luminous halo that launched 1,000 imitators. But the look demanded brutal chemistry. Peroxide, ammonia, scorching heat, repeated again and again until her scalp protested. Breakage spread, edges thinned, and the studio whispered for solutions. Enter Max Factor's artisans with hand-tied wigs, featherlight lace fronts tinted to that impossible moonlit shade. Camera tests, filters, and soft focus turned them seamless. Publicity swore it was radiance. On set, Harlow slipped between styles, silken waves for red dust, tight curls for bombshell, without exposing the secret protecting her image. Off set, she joked, then winced, and kept working, because the brand required perfection. She died at 26, legend crystallized, the wig work erased by myth. What remains is the glow, a star whose shine outlived the hair that paid for it. Marlene Dietrich engineered herself like light. Under Shanghai Express arcs, her platinum crown seemed carved from frost, utterly immaculate, inviolate. Behind the glow, years of bleaching thinned her hair to gauze, so she turned the problem into art. Max Factor lace fronts, sculpted in cool lunar shades, became brushstrokes in a moving portrait. Dietrich directed everything: the line of the part, the height of the wave, how a wig's edge caught a key light. Turbans, veils, and tilted fedoras extended the composition, all angles and intention. On set, she was a technician of glamour, conferring with cinematographers about diffusion, shadows, and sheen. In concert halls, she traveled with trunks of coiffed armor, each labeled for tempo and temperament. To friends, she quipped that reality was poor lighting. To audiences, she offered a dream, a woman drawn in silver and willpower. The hairpieces didn't hide her, she used them to make herself myth. Elizabeth Taylor learned early that Hollywood equated beauty with survival. The violet-eyed star's dark tresses, tortured by dye, teasing, and hot light since childhood, began thinning by her late 20s. When Cleopatra demanded a crown fit for a goddess, artisans supplied it. A trove of hand-tied wigs, jeweled, braided, curled, and perfectly blended to her own hairline. On set, camera tests mapped every angle. Off-set, she swapped styles as easily as Jules, protecting a scalp that had endured decades of punishment. Burton marveled privately, publicists guarded the illusion, and audiences saw only radiance. Taylor understood the calculus. Preserve the face, protect the myth, keep working. The wigs were not vanity, they were armor and efficiency, allowing endurance without further harm. She turned a vulnerability into control, choosing when to reveal, when to conceal. In the mirror's frame, Elizabeth remained sovereign. Image meticulously kept, legend burnished, beauty reimagined strand by strand. Humphrey Bogart perfected the art of vanishing in plain sight. As his hairline crept back in his 30s, he refused to let biology rewrite the noir silhouette audiences expected. The solution was practical and theatrical. Discreet toupees trimmed close and hand-tied, blended along the brow. A fedora angled just so to throw a shadow across any seam. Hats became accomplices, as essential as trench coat and cigarette. Cinematographers softened edges, wardrobe kept spares. Bogart kept his cool. On poker nights he joked about the rug, but on set he protected the illusion with ritual, adhesive checks, wind tests, hat rehearsals. From the Maltese Falcon to the Big Sleep, the hair never played the lead. Attitude did. He sold danger, loyalty, regret, and the bruised romance of late nights. The toupee merely kept the frame intact, while the voice and stare did the rest. Hard-boiled, unblinking, unmistakably Bogart. Hat brim, shadow, legend. Fred Astaire treated hair the way he treated footwork, with precision. As thinning set in early, he adopted featherweight, lace-front wigs built to flex through pivots, slides, and airborne turns. Adhesives were tested like tap steps. The pieces had to survive sweat, spotlights, and orchestra heat. Wardrobe labeled versions for waltz, quick-step, and rehearsal, while Hermes Pan fussed over balance so nothing budged mid-spin. The top hat did its share, angling the brim to shade hairlines, completing the silhouette audiences adored. Cinematographers softened edges and favored movement over close-ups. Spectators saw musical geometry, not engineering. Astaire's real misdirection was elegance, that liquid glide, the sly half-smile, the timing that made gravity blink. Wigs weren't vanity, they were tools, like canes, tails, and gleaming floors. When the band hit, he floated, faultless, weightless, letting craft erase the compromise. The camera followed the shoes, and the legend kept dancing, perfectly composed from crown to toe. Vivian Lee carried stardom like a fragile chalice, radiant on screen, frayed at the edges off it. Stress, tuberculosis, and the undertow of bipolar swings thinned her dark hair just as the world crowned her scarlet. She answered with quiet craft. Lace-front wigs, parted to mimic her own texture, let her inhabit queens and dreamers without inviting scrutiny. Designers matched chestnut shades to camera stocks. Cinematographers softened edges. Hats and veils completed the deception. MGM's publicity machine did the rest, guarding her privacy with iron discretion. In A Streetcar Named Desire, blonde strands brightened Blanche's trembling poise. In Anna Karenina, rich waves framed doomed resolve. Lee understood that survival in Hollywood required choices. What to reveal, what to preserve. The wigs were not vanity but armor, the quiet scaffolding beneath ferocious performances. When the lights rose, the illusion held steadfastly, and the audience saw only bright flame, not the wind that threatened it. Rita Hayworth's radiance was engineered as carefully as any set. Born Margarita Cancino, the studio rebuilt her into a Technicolor dream. A higher forehead through electrolysis, auburn dyed to molten copper, curls lacquered to catch light. The alchemy worked and punished. Years of chemicals and heat left her scalp tender and thinning, a private cost hidden behind immaculate frames. Columbia's artisans answered with custom lace-front wigs, hand-knotted, shade-matched, and camera-tested. Some were flame-bright for Gilda's hair flip, others softened to strawberry for romantic close-ups, each secured to survive dance numbers and summer sound stages. Publicists called it glamour, Hayworth called it work. She wore the pieces like armor, choosing the wave, the part, precise sheen that made audiences sigh. Offset, scarves and low chignons eased strain, but on cue the legend shimmered, undimmed, untouchable. The hair was an illusion. The charisma was not. Her image stayed red-hot when the roots surrendered. Greta Garbo's final act was one of immaculate control. Under studio lamps, she floated through frames in constructed halos. Lace front wigs for close-ups, turbans and scarves for corridors and cars, all fashion and camouflage at once. The accessories weren't vanity, they were strategy, objects arranged to keep the gaze where she wanted it. After the release of Two-Faced Woman, she stepped off the stage in 1941, choosing privacy over perpetual scrutiny, leaving a city addicted to exposure with nothing but rumors and photographs of hats. In the few surviving tests and portraits, you can see the engineering. Hairlines blended, edges diffused, fabrics absorbing light. Garbo understood that in a beauty-obsessed industry, survival required armor. Hers happened to be velvet, chiffon, and meticulously dressed hair. By retreating, she preserved the one currency Hollywood could never manufacture on demand, mystique, and proved that the most powerful exit is the one that leaves the door closed. Under the glow of classic Hollywood, perfection was never accidental. It was constructed, strand by strand. Tonight, we pulled back the curtain on the quiet craft that kept legends luminous. Wigs, toupees, turbans, and the artisans who turned insecurity into iconography. If this changed how you see Taylor's crown, Bogart's brim, Harlow's halo, or Garbo's veils, tell us which reveal surprised you most in the comments. Did the illusion fool you, or did you always suspect the magic? Either way, remember, the performance isn't just on screen. It lives in the mirror, the makeup chair, and the beautiful lies that make stories feel true. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's hidden hair, tap like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a scene. Next time, we're unmasking early plastic surgery secrets, before filters, before Facetune, when scalpels shaped stardom. Until then, keep your eyes open and your myths flexible.